Hello, my paranormal peeps. Today, we're going to be discussing the Ouija board. Is it the tool of the devil, a harmless family game, or a fascinating look into the unconscious mind? Today's video will detail what is a Ouija board, how do I use one, and most importantly, how to stay safe. In February 1891, advertisements for the mysterious and mystifying game started to appear, describing the wonderful talking board. These ads claimed that this magical device, retailing for just $1.50 at the time, could answer questions pertaining to the past, present, and future with marvelous accuracy. They also promised never-failing amusement and recreation for all classes, as the board functioned as a link between the known and the unknown, the material and the immaterial. This talking board was and still is sold in board game aisles as a product that is a flat board with the alphabet listed in 2 semicircles with yes or no above, numbers below, and goodbye at the very bottom. This board is also accompanied by a planchette, which is a teardrop-shaped device with a small window in the body used to maneuver around the board.
Don't mind my crazy hair, I just got back from yoga, but I am currently editing this video and I'm on Maddy's part where she's talking, like introing the Ouija board, and the Alexa randomly turns on and starts playing this. I don't know what the heck that is, but I'm terrified. I just sent that to Maddy and she's like freaking dying right now. So yeah, don't know what that's about.
The idea is that 2 or more people would sit around the board and place their fingertips on the planchette, pose a question, and watch the planchette as it moved mysteriously from letter to letter, spelling out answers seemingly on its own accord. The Ouija board got its name when creators asked the board what it should call it, and Ouija came through. When they asked what that meant, the board replied, "Good luck." Scary! The Ouija board was born out of 19th century America's obsession with spirituality, the persisting belief that the dead are able to communicate with the living. Spirituality, which had existed around the world forever, finally hit America in 1848 with the sudden prominence of the Fox sisters, originally from upstate New York. They claimed to receive messages from spirits who knocked on the walls to answer questions. Communicating with the dead at this time was common. It wasn't seen as bizarre or weird as it is today. Nowadays, the general public looks at a Ouija board and thinks, why are they potentially opening the gates of hell? At least that's what my grandma would say. Although this concern is a little extreme, that should all be on our minds when we dabble within the spiritual realm. Now, how does a Ouija board work? With your fingers placed gently on the planchette, you will invite spirits into your space and allow them to use part of your energy to move the planchette and communicate with you. It's very important that beforehand you take certain measures to make sure that you're safe. By opening a portal to the spirit world, you don't know what could come through. It could be Casper the Friendly Ghost, or it could be a demon. To be safe, it's recommended that you envision a circle of white light around you for your protection. Light a white candle to physically represent that white light, and say a mantra related to protection and the boundaries that you would like to have with those spirits. For example, I encase myself within a bubble of white light and invite only spirits of light to enter this session. Next, you will invite the spirits in by saying something like, I call upon the righteous, benevolent spirits, and repeating it 3 times. I've read that repeating a chant 3 times to open a session is necessary and important. Next, you will invite the spirits inside of your protection circle to be able to use the board by saying something like, we open the circle for spirits to enter. Beings of love and light, join us. Now you wait for the spirits to come through. With your fingers gently resting on the planchette, and I emphasize gently because you don't want to move the planchette accidentally and cause a false reading. The spirits will then use its energy, whether it's its own or part of the energy that it borrowed from you to communicate. When you're ready to end the session, it's essential that you say goodbye, repeating a mantra like, thank you, white light, for your protection. This session has ended. We close the circle. please leave our space. You are not welcome to stay once we say goodbye. Thank you for your time, and goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. While saying goodbye, you must move the planchette to the goodbye lettering on the bottom of the board. Again, repeating goodbye 3 times to formally close the session. Now, my mom is spiritual and is quite afraid of communication tools like the Ouija board because you never know what can come through. Growing up, when she learned that I was interested in the paranormal, she put a hard ban on Ouija boards. She didn't want anything to stay after a session and take up residence in our house, which is totally fair. So with knowing that my mom was fearful, initially I was fearful. So when I first came across a Ouija board, I think I was in 6th grade. And my best friend at the time had a Ouija board, and I remember climbing on top of her bunk bed to snuggle up for a sleepover and seeing a Ouija board at the bottom of her bed. And I go, that's how you spell Ouija? Being in 6th grade, I was like, Ouija, W-U-G-I-E, not how it's actually spelled. Upon seeing it, I froze. I come to find out they kept a Ouija board to communicate with spirits in their house, particularly one named Mikey. Mikey is someone that possibly could have lived in her house that used to play with her as a child. It was very spooky. I'm not sure if I've told you guys this ghost story before, but when they first moved in the attic, they found a chest of pictures. And as they're going through the pictures, my best friend as a little girl, 3 or 4 years old, goes, "Mom, that's Mikey. We play all the time." And her mom's like, "Honey, these are very old pictures and you've never met anyone named Mikey." Well, lesson from that, trust your kids, and they certainly did, and that's how they used to communicate with Mikey going forward. He's a very positive spirit to my knowledge, so no big issues there. The next experience I have with a Ouija board, still very against it, still very in line with my mother. Someone brings a Ouija board to our cheerleading competition. We were staying at a gorgeous resort in Ohio for nationals, and the girls decide that they want to play. And there were only probably 3 of us, including myself, that were like, we're not playing. And, you know, it's a whole cheerleading team of 18, 20 girls. So we have this giant suite, and everyone piles into one room, besides the 3 girls, including myself, that wanted no part in it. And we're all kind of pissy that they're inviting spirits in, that they're using the board. So being the jokester myself, I decide, hey, I kind of want to mess with them. And I find out that the room that, oh my gosh, 15 girls are crammed into, the tiny little room that has one bed that they're all crammed into, has a balcony. And the shades are closed, so they had no idea that there was a balcony. So I sneak onto the balcony from the little suite portion, the little living room, and I go boom, boom, boom. Recounting that, the screams that I heard were so freaking funny, and they burst open that door, that tiny door that 15 people are trying to barrel out at the same time, crawling, stampeding. I definitely got a few punches for that, but it was worth it. And I come to find out, well, 1, they couldn't even say goodbye, so that was horrible timing on my part. And 2, they just had started talking to the spirit that, you know, the old history pictures that they see on the wall in the hotel, that they were one of them and they died there somehow, or something to do with the war. I don't really remember, but either way, scared them to death, had such a good laugh. Hopefully we didn't anger the spirits by not saying goodbye. My next Ouija experience, I was completely open to spirits. I was living in a dorm my freshman year of college, and there was this girl that was living down the hall, and she was always the cool goth girl in town. She's gorgeous. She has like 50 tattoos now, that had a Ouija board, and I knew openly talked to spirits. She was very like grunge and would even like paint pictures in her own blood and hang them up on her wall to like scare people or be edgy or something. So we decide, okay, we want to do a little seance. We want to see what's residing in here, because we know that people have killed themselves, people have hung themselves. We want to see if anything's hanging around. And during that session, probably 6 of us pack into my room, my little dorm, and we start Ouijaing. And everyone knew I was scared, so this one girl, while I'm like really hardcore looking at the planchette, starts to take a piece of my hair and pull it up, and I'm just feeling my hair move, and I'm like, and they all start laughing because they're messing with me. So I guess that's my karma from when I messed with my teammates. And apparently this goth chick that was leading the session said, you know, this is what's coming through. This person hung themselves right here. They're still here. They're very angry that they died in the manner that they did. It was very tragic. They took their own lives. And then all of a sudden, my closet, which was just a wardrobe, was open, and all of a sudden she looks over and is just staring, like intensely, like looks sick, is looking into that closet. And we're all like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? We say goodbye. And she goes, give me a piece of paper, I'll draw it for you. And she draws this face of this creature, and it has like melting skin, and it's so like gross. And she's like, this is what is in here. It's so much worse than I thought. It's not just a person. I think we're dealing with a demon. Oh, I was terrified. Everyone was like, yeah, right. Okay, goth chick. Like, you're just making that up to scare us. So I'm like, fully believing it. I'm terrified. That night, I actually sleep in the common area. I don't even sleep in my room. Then the next night, I go to bed early, and I had this little light, this tiny little light, probably like a foot tall. It was really cute. It had like a little cheetah lampshade. It was next to my bed on a nightstand, and next to that nightstand was a desk. It's this huge, junky old desk, and before I'm going to bed, I'm trying to turn the lamp off, and I accidentally knock it behind my desk. And I turned it off, but it fell. And I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to get that. I'll just get it in the morning. Are you ready? I wake up at 3 a.m., the bewitching hour when spirits, demons are the strongest, and I look over, and my lamp is completely right side up, sitting on my nightstand. And at that time, my roommates weren't home. I was the only one home. That's something important to note. They didn't just pick it up for me. And even if they were home, they wouldn't have seen that I knocked it behind my desk, because it was like way behind there. And only me laying on the bed that could see, oh, sorry, I just kicked the camera, that could see the little crack between the desk and the wall, could see that my lamp was there. So I'm the only one. My lamp is somehow upright again, sitting on the counter, and I call my mom that instant. I'm like, I need you to pick me up. I'm freaking out. And she probably thought I was like schizophrenic or something, but whatever. No shame in that. Obviously, we love healthy talks about mental health, but she was like, you're bugging out. She comes and picks me up anyways. Love you, Mom. And that was that. And shortly after that, I transferred schools and I went to my dream school, but that was just so creepy, and I was never really back in that dorm a lot after that. I stayed home, or I stayed in my friend's dorm. It just totally wigged me out. Next, I am at my dream school. It's 2016, and I meet this girl. I actually met her in 2015. Shout out my girl, Debbie. I absolutely love her. She's a badass witch. Legit, she studies witchcraft, and I come to find out, hey, yeah, like, I'll use the Ouija with you, like, I love doing that. And I'm like, yes! Because no one has wanted to ever since that goth chick, and I never knew for sure if it was real or if she was messing with me, but I think after my paranormal experience in my dorm, it was real. But anyway, so Debbie and I start using the Ouija board at my place, which is where we went to this store called Hocus Pocus in Pittsburgh, and we got all these goodies, which I haven't touched my Ouija board in 3 years since this Ouija session. So I forgot all the goodies that I had in it. Fresh sage. The box smells amazing. And then remember how I said you have to use white candles? So I got this little adorable crystal candle holder, and this is a little white candle that used to be much bigger, but from our session it burned down quite quick. And then I got this giant protection candle from Hocus Pocus, which you can see it looks kind of dirty, but actually there's different herbs in there and protective substances. So this is a really powerful candle that I should absolutely use if I ever decide to pick up the Ouija board again. But anyway, so I'm using it with Debbie, and I would say she's pretty knowledgeable in all things spiritual, paranormal. We go to use the board, and she goes, okay, there's just some things you have to know. And if something comes through pretending to be a child, I'm calling BS right then and there. Children are so innocent, and they don't really have a lot of unfinished business. So if something comes through pretending to be a child, it's tricking us, and oftentimes it's more sinister. Well, self-fulfilling prophecy, guess what happens? Comes through being a child. And as soon as I have goosebumps even talking about it. But as soon as we're like, okay, we're not really comfortable, we want to end this session, the planchette starts going crazy and saying all these creepy words like kill, watching. Did not like it, had to end the session, had to sage my apartment, and I had to get out of there for a little bit. Luckily, nothing really stuck. I'm sorry if the person after me in 310 Oakland Avenue is experiencing anything demonic, but anyways, it didn't happen to me. But those are my experiences with the Ouija board. I did touch the Ouija board today for you guys after blowing off a thick layer of dust, so hopefully nothing. I'll hold my tourmaline extra tight tonight and sage. But now Chelsea is gonna tell you all about how to stay safe when using a Ouija board.
Hey guys, so as you can see, Maddie and I are apart, so we're currently filming our Thursday videos separately, and then I'm just going to edit our footage together. But yeah, today's video is going to be all about Ouija boards. So Maddie just discussed what a Ouija board is, how to use it, some of her stories, and I'm going to kind of talk about how to stay safe. But most importantly, like, you can play it at your own risk, but the number one rule, in my opinion, is to stay away from Ouija boards, just because you don't really know what you're talking to. And a lot of the stronger negative spirits, whether they're a spirit or something far darker, they have a way of pretending to be a loved one or pretending to be someone else to kind of trick you into inviting them into your space. Yeah, let's talk all about safety and what to do if you decide to play a Ouija board. So with the Ouija board basically becomes a portal between our realm and the spiritual realm. And what most people don't do when they play the Ouija board is they don't set intentions or protect themselves. So if you do decide to play a Ouija board, the first thing I recommend is to imagine a white light surrounding you. You also want to set clear intentions. So you want to say, I only want to speak to beings that are of light and love, that just want to communicate and don't want to do any harm. Set clear intentions if you are deciding to play with a Ouija board. It really frightens me that Ouija boards are sold at toy stores and they're so readily accessible to anyone, and they're also like marketed for eight-year-olds and up. Like, what? That's so terrifying. It's not a game. Like, it literally is a portal. It's an invitation for spirits to come and kind of like show themselves to our realm. So another thing you want to do is you never want to taunt anything that starts coming through the Ouija board. You want to be respectful. If you taunt or make fun, that opens up a lot of negativity and it can be not so good. You also never want to tell a spirit you can use your energy or test them, like say, move this object if you're here, because that's inviting them to be physically present in your space, and that's how a lot of people have gotten things attached to them. You can communicate them and they can move the planchette, but as soon as you give them permission to move something physically in our world, that just gives them total permission to do whatever they want here. So you never, never, never want to tell them to move something physically or use your own energy. They can only use the planchette. Another thing you also want to do is you always want to say goodbye. That's very important because it closes off the energy of the Ouija board. Like I said, it's a portal. There's energy. Spirits are kind of like drawn to it because they see it's a way to access this realm, because spirits, even though they're in a different dimension, they're always around, and so it just takes that one thing to kind of give them the energy to like show themselves into our space. So you always want to say goodbye to kind of close off the board. Another thing you want to avoid, or well, not really avoid, but like this is a bad sign if you see this, if you see the board spelling Zozo, which is a demon that's been known to kind of like use Ouija boards. So if it starts spelling Zozo, if it starts going back and forth to like the same thing over and over and over again, that's also a bad sign. You also want to notice the time. If you start losing time, that's also a sign of something very dark. So if any of those things happen, just immediately say goodbye and close off the board, because those are all signs of very negative beings. Yeah, so those are all of my safety tips, things you can do if you do decide to use a Ouija board, but my number one rule is just don't do it. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to be attached to anything. You don't know who you're talking to. That's the thing. Any spirit can come through. And like I said, the negative, darker spirits are really good at pretending to be other people. So yeah, those are some safety tips. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for Saturday where I talk all about spirituality and how to raise your vibration and just live your life to the fullest. And then stay tuned for Monday where Maddy talks all about true crime and murderers and all that fun not fun stuff, but interesting stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.